Hey guys, Forrest from Gearful here, and we are in the studio where today we're going to break down my 12-ounce backcountry first aid kit that's going to carry me into the season that is 2024. So if you're the type that in years past you've struggled to build a kit that's both lightweight and comprehensive to promote self-reliance to the backcountry, this video is likely going to help you out. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So leading off there is with a cat tourniquet. Now, as I was nearer to the age of 20, I didn't run with a tourniquet as frequently as likely I should have, but I'm knocking on the age of 40 now, or knocking on the door of the age of 40, and with age and experience, I hope, comes wisdom. I know comes more responsibility, so I'm running with the tourniquet more frequently than I ever have before. Again, a cat tourniquet. When it comes to a life-threatening bleed, having a tourniquet is an irreplaceable asset. Choose a tourniquet design that you're proficient with. Store it in a manner to where it's readily accessible in the moment to which it's needed. I often carry that on my bino harness, for example. The only other assets here that are not kept in the bag itself are my Splint and my cohesive wrap, intended for either securing gauze on an injury or securing the Splint to immobilize a fracture or a dislocation. So just based on their size, I don't carry them in the red bag. They're in a different segment of my main backpack. But a Splint offers a couple benefits that are not otherwise had by making a makeshift splint device in the backcountry. Number one, a Splint is intended to be formed in the shape of a C for structural integrity. And when you do that, if you're administering self-aid or buddy aid, you can do that over, say, your arm that's not injured before applying the Splint to the injury itself. A couple benefits there: you're going to get an adequate fit without disturbing the injury or perhaps worsening it, and you're likely not going to, induce any more pain than is absolutely necessary. And then that cohesive wrap is for, again, self-adhering wrap, no purpose other than to secure bandage or gauze over an open wound or securing that Splint in space. Or in place rather. So everything else that's here is actually kept in my medkit bag. Years past, I always ran with a pull-out bag that was not red. However, now that Stone Glacier is offering these red pull-out bags, it is of an added benefit. It's readily seen, it's readily identifiable. I definitely recommend that you consider it as an upgrade to an existing kit that you may have. So that's the bag. But leading off from my right to left, nitrile gloves. They're always in a pack. They're sterile, ready for use. Yes, I have nitrile gloves in my kill kit, but those, admittedly are not sterile. And so in the moment of first aid, I want to ensure that the gloves for use are made ready and clean. We'll go ahead and lead off with the front, and we'll get into some more serious injuries and the assets to support them here on the backside. But again, from right to left, all Band-Aids are not created equally. I carry about a half a dozen of these super skin bandages made by My Medic. Primary reason for me is their 4-way stretch. These Band-Aids will stay on for 10 days. Look to those solutions by My Medic to up your game and even those most simple assets such as a Band-Aid. This pouch here is 2-part. I've got several sterile alcohol prep pads for cleaning and sterilizing a wound. And I've got several packets of a triple antibiotic. This happens to be by My Medic, but you can use just about any triple antibiotic. Something to treat the wound to prevent infection until you're back at home plate or back at the tailgate and no longer again in the backcountry. What I have here is some Glacier gel. This is a burn or a blister treatment. It's very rare that I have to default to using this because more often than not, I will hit those hot spots on my feet with Leukotape. Here it happens to be wrapped around a fresh Sharpie, something that I change out every year to make sure it's ready for use. But these with no weight penalty, they're worth keeping because if something were, deserving of it, if you burned yourself in spike camp, or if you had a blister that just needed a little bit more treatment, this is something to have with you. Doesn't take up any space. Again, no weight penalty. Off to my forward left is some basic over-the-counter pharmaceuticals, medications if you will. Some Dayquil, so if I'm running with some cold or flu-like symptoms and the onset thereof, I've got something to kind of take the edge off. I've got some ibuprofen. Those are 200 milligram over-the-counter, pretty standard Advil if I need to take away a little pain. Pepto-Bismol if the unfortunate occurs. There it is. And then lastly, an antihistamine such as a Benadryl. You know, allergies with your nose, or if it's a skin reaction, that type of an allergic reaction, some means of treatment, because those instances can be quite unfortunate. So we talked about everything else. We'll go ahead and move back towards myself. A good pair of tweezers, much like the Band-Aids, the tweezers, not all are created equally. Get something with a fine tip, a tapered tip. So if you want to use them in a broad technique, you can, but if you need to have that refined point, you can also achieve that. It's also an added benefit to have a little bit of a sheath on the end so that you're not compromising various other assets in your backcountry first aid kit when it's just in, you know, basic storage. I made mention of the black Sharpie with the Leuco tape wrapped around. Leuco tape is something you can keep in a variety of different locations, but it doesn't weigh hardly anything. It is money when it comes to treating your feet, so sometimes having an added wrap in an additional place or two is worth doing. Now, coming across the back row here from right to left, this is a mini SAM splint intended for fingers. So if you have a fractured or a dislocated finger, you know the choice is yours. Full disclaimer, I'm not a medical professional, but based on experience, dependent upon, you know, the circulation, the motion, and the sensation at the end of that finger post splint will determine whether I'm pulling out of the backcountry and I'm trailhead bound, or if I'm going to stay in there a little bit longer and stay in the fight. But that SAM splint at 0.2 ounces is something worth considering, because broken knuckles, broken fingers, if not treated properly, those who know. The older you get, the fatter those knuckles get, the colder the temps get in the late season, they're bothersome. There's no other way around it. So this here is a Schlissmann pressure wrap. This serves a multitude of different capabilities here. Primarily, it's a pressure wrap. It's in the name. So if I have gauze over an open wound, what this will enable me to do is I can apply it with just one arm. I can achieve a narrow wrap, or I can achieve a wide wrap depending upon the length of the laceration or the severity of the open wound. And it's got Velcro sewn in progressively over the length of the fabric, so that as you're going continuously with wrap, you have that hook Velcro available. Keeps that continual steady pressure where you want it based on how you applied it, and it won't lessen over time. This is a means of not only slinging an arm upwards, but more primarily having, you know, made a triangle bandage and it's in the upright position. A Schlissmann can assist with keeping that arm tight to the torso and limiting that lateral movement there. These are some specialized assets produced by My Medic. These are their ZZips. There's also some liquid skin. Think super glue, if you will. So it's a ratcheting device. If you had a wound that widened to the point where it's just not going to stay in a closed position, that would prohibit infection, or at least lessen the likelihood of infection, and it's not going to promote a healing process quickly, these ZZips can definitely help. So they'll have 2 adhesive pads. It's a ratcheting type mechanism. It can help with closing that wound. And then again, your choice of pulling out of the backcountry or not is of your own personal choosing. Lastly, an absolute must in my opinion is some compressed gauze. I carry 2, and there's a specific reason there. More likely than not, I'm going to go with a compressed gauze for most injuries that is not treated with a hemostatic agent. There's oftentimes when it's just not required, such as you call them a standard laceration, if you will. This compressed gauze is what you're going to use to cover the wound, at times pack the wound dependent upon the severity of it, and then get you back to home plate, as I said earlier. But that lightweight compressed gauze is irreplaceable in a backcountry first aid kit, an absolute must-have. Now, everything here when it comes to stopping the bleed serves a specific purpose on the body, but there are certain injuries in which a compressed gauze that's treated with a hemostatic agent is of added benefit, such as if you had a bleed in a location such as your armpit or your upper inner thigh, both of which have, you know, known major arteries in that region. These other treatments might not quite be enough. So again, a compressed gauze treated with the hemostatic agent such as this can allow you to pack the wound. There's enough there to use the alternate end and to subsequently repack a wound if necessary. Again, purpose there is to stop the bleed and get you out and get you back to the tailgate and to professional medical services. An added plus of this one in particular is the fact that it's X-ray detectable. So when you get to those X-rays or those CT scans, they're going to be able to determine if any foreign bodies remain in your person, such as when the majority of the gauze is removed. But anyhow, again, it is not uncommon for a lot of guys, a lot of gals to try and build a backcountry first aid kit that is both lightweight and comprehensive for promoting self-reliance in the backcountry. This is my 12-ounce system. It's always under continual assessment, reassessment, you name it. It's a living organism, if you will. So we hope that you found this video helpful. Please like and subscribe. If you have any questions, we're here to help. Reach out to us at gearful.com, and thanks for watching.